Hey, enjoying the car? Pretty nice, isn't it? 2018 Kia Stinger. Rear wheel drive, 255 horsepower. Pretty decent street car. And yet it's technically built like a race car too. Kind of like a sleeper. Oh, I almost forgot. My name is Adrian Jr. I'm the Southern Boys Motorsport founder and owner, as well as the driver, and active duty service member of the United States Navy. Now, the topic of this video is really for me to explain to you guys exactly how do I manage to run a team under a budget while in the service at 22. To be honest with you, it wasn't difficult, but it was difficult. So let me break that down to you. The whole thing kind of started in 2023. At that time, I just got out of boot camp, finished my A school in Pensacola, Florida, and then I was just assigned my new ship, the USS America, in Sasebo, Japan. Japan of all places, can you believe that? Now, me being a race car driver, I automatically wanted to figure out what tracks are in my area. So automatically, I was already on Google Maps, typing away, trying to figure out where is the next track I want to go hit up. Sadly, Japan wasn't really big on a lot of racing. And what I mean by that, there wasn't a lot of racetracks to start off with. So I happened to find one track called A1 Circuit. A1 Circuit is a little mid-sized but smallish track that still holds some competition. The terrain of the road was a little broken up, had some vegetation growing out of it. The carts was a little beat up and stuff, but it was all good. And people even have competitions there with our actual gas-powered cars, like the micro cars for the kids and senior cars too. I think they even do endurance. All that for a cheap price. It was about like 5,500 yen. I forgot exactly how much that is in USD, but it's really not a lot. So we went over there and I managed to, fill out the track, see if this is good to really bring whoever I want to recruit for my crew. And it actually turned out really enjoyable. The turns wasn't hard and the carts were easy to handle, but it was something to start off with. So your first lesson is whenever you want to start in racing, look at a local go-kart track. It's a good place to really understand where to start. And that's also where I started my first heat races in. I even had little events where I will even post up a few $100 so we can compete for something grand, as well as clothing for my clothing brand, Mike's Jackpot at the time. Once I felt like the track was actually pretty good for me to take my drivers out to, next thing I had to do is recruit. And recruiting was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. On my ship, I thought it would be good to invite people on the ship since I can keep track with everyone because we're all in one place. Eventually, we had to go on patrol, which gave me ample amount of time to figure out, okay, who would I want to be on my team? Who do I feel like would be a good influence and want to keep this going with me? And being an undead airman on a LHA, there was a lot of people I could have chosen. But also a lot of people didn't really want to be a part of it. Whether they're scared, they felt like they was gonna fail, or so on and so forth. Even if I was able to teach them, I actually thought all hope was lost. But I managed to go on top of the flight deck, and I happened to check out the flight deck crew. And I happened to catch one person that actually caught my interest. Not only did he have a racing history, he had such a big business mindset. And that guy was Kevin. Kevin is my co-founder. He's the first guy who ever entered the team with me and was dedicated to stay by my side in order for this team to grow. He was the business side of everything, but he was willing to be the race car driver if needed. So, once I got him aboard, me and him just got to work. I told him about what I already done so far, about the track at A1, and what I plan to do for recruiting. That's when recruiting really got difficult. Like I said before, not a lot of people really wanted to actually be a part of the team because they felt like it was going to mess us up. Whether they lacked the experience of racing experience or anything like that. But we was willing to teach them, so we didn't know exactly what was the problem. But Kevin and I still didn't let that stop us. So we went around the whole ship looking for people. One of our guys is Tristan. He's our top driver as of now,
and our engineer as well. Another engineer we had was Cole. He's actually a pretty chill dude. He actually is very hilarious when we was on the track. And we had another one we call Outlaw, for reasons that we're going to explain later, who was our engineer as well. Once we got them established, it was easy from there, because now that we got some rookie drivers and also some engineers, we got a stable little team here. We can make something out of this. So whenever we had the chance, I took them out to A1 circuit so we could get some practice in, so I could see what they're capable of. And let me tell you, they definitely performed. Yes, some were slower than others, but they showed a lot of commitment. That was pretty much my recruitment. I find someone, I test them on the track, see how their personality is, get to learn about them, and then they was a part of my team. I didn't really need no fancy papers like that. It was just all about building that bond. And a lot of people spend years and years of building that bond, and we was already friends within the first 2 weeks. And from there, they just stuck with us. Those were the main people. Of course, down the line, we managed to get a few more people, a different section of the ship, and they actually helped us out. We even had our own admin at one point. We got our media, and we actually had people who helped me with the event planning of things and pricing as well. They all helped me out so greatly, and we got to a point where I actually had up to 16 people within the end of my patrol, and our patrol was only like 3 months.
Also, take this as a reminder. You don't really need to have a lot of money in order to start your racing life. You'd be surprised how much most of these go-karts even cost to even get started. Whether it's indoor, outdoor, it's really not a lot of money. You just need to know where to look. So far, I already told you guys that it's all about looking at your local tracks, building a bond with your network, and of course, not worrying about it being so expensive, because go-karting is very, very inexpensive, especially in Japan. I just happen to have that luck. Down the line, I managed to go to a lot of different places. I went to Australia, I went to Manila, I went to South Korea at one point, and each of them had a go-kart for me to go check out. I always wanted to keep the team busy, so we went to many other go-kart tracks in the area. So it's all about where you are and what's your availability like. The next thing I need to talk about is influence. People is your source of success. I cannot exaggerate that enough. Yes, I have a team, and yes, I have people helping me, and we do the best we can to get ourselves out there. But the people, the fans, the people who really enjoy learning about your team or who you are the people that's going to get you high in the motorsports industry. And just like NASCAR, F1, GT, or any of the racing things you guys like watching on TV, they needed influence in order to get to where they are. So how do you go about that? Like I said before, we are not a big racing team or anything like that. We don't have a lot of money like that to really like throw ourselves out there like that. But we have one thing in this day and age that everybody uses, and that's social media. Your social media is going to be the key of you getting people to recognize you. So like, for example, I have an Instagram. I post everything about, either it's just my ordinary day, about the car, about my progress with the team, or any updates coming out. I explain all of that. I go to car meets. I localize with the people at the car meets. I also record there too. I take pictures. I try to get people involved in what I'm doing, and as well as tell about my story, just like I'm telling you guys about what I do. When it comes to content creating, you don't really need any special gadgets or anything. Like right now, I'm recording everything on my phone, and yet here you guys still watching, and it's in good quality. You'd be surprised what that little device in your pocket that you hold everywhere you go can get you, especially on platforms like Facebook or Instagram, and now even YouTube. You have to start somewhere to get your influence out there. 2025 came around, and I had to select orders for a new ship in San Diego. And honestly, I found this as a progression, because being in San Diego means we have more options of tracks and more chances to network better than we did in Japan. So once I got here, I was already trying to lay down a platform for us. So whenever the old ship that I was at came, I was able to give my drivers something to start off with. And sadly, when they did came out, I didn't actually have a lot of them now. It went from 16 people to 5, and I had to make do with whatever I had. It was a struggle, but I didn't really let that really get to me. So skipping ahead a little, once I managed to get everybody a task and caught them up with everything we're doing, I managed to get them out here at K1 speed to race a little bit of the go-karts there. And I even took time of myself to go and race for a go-kart team, which was called Precision Karting, a family-owned team that was starting out in dirt bikes, but they managed to get into go-karts, and I raced for them a little bit. I have a few of those clips, but after I did some time with them, I focused more on my military life and doing TAD tours with other ships so I can learn about my job. And I took the time to learn about people there so I can get an idea of people's mindsets when it came to joining a racing team. Like, what is the real reason why they don't want to join? So I took the time and did some improvement. So I took some time to improve my recruitment. I took some time to get better at talking to people for networking. I took some time to budget myself a little bit better so I can have more funds to do whatever I want to do here. And that pretty much sums up my time in San Diego. Now, how did I get this beauty? It was actually pretty simple. Getting the Kia was actually by pure coincidence. I was just tired of using Uber all day and money built up. So I went down to Carby, which was not far from base, and he introduced me to a couple of the cars, and this was one of the ones that stood out. And no, it's not because it looked fast or it looked pretty or whatever. It was actually because it was blue. Blue's my favorite color. But I didn't know much about the Kia until I actually started driving it around. And I took the time to actually know its history. And I even took the time to learn if this has been in any kind of racing industry. And surprisingly, the Kia has not been in a lot of racing. In fact, there's not even a record showing that they've been in any kind of motorsports, like even some grand touring or anything like that. But I believe a few years back, Kia did eventually have a racing series for themselves, just not the Stinger. So I made it my mission to change that. Once I got the Kia, I managed to soup it up to at least make it look like a race car, but I didn't do big modifications, but I knew what I was aiming for. Now, this is where I get to tell you guys about what to do if you happen to have your daily driver as a race car. Now, keep in mind, now this is your daily driver. That means you're not going to go full willy-nilly with the modifications. And depending where you are, you have to still follow the regulations. So lucky for me in San Diego, the only things I have to watch out for is smog, and it can't be a straight pipe. So as long as I follow those rules, I can pretty much do whatever I want to do. After looking in the hood of the car, I actually noticed that I have so much to work with. Like, I have so much room. Not a lot of stuff needed to be changed because this thing is already producing 255 horsepower, and it was pretty decent for a street car. Now, for you guys who have a street car that you want to turn into a race car, there's a lot of key factors you need to understand. Regulations, sound, smog, but as well as what could you do to your car. Because all cars have their limits, but if you have something like a Honda or Miata, you can do whatever you want with those. But for something like this, there was a lot that I had to write down. But once it gets to where I want it to be, I'll mostly set it up just for the track day of it. And until I get me like a second car, then this is just going to be like a street legal race car pretty much. It will still have functioning headlights. It will still have its original functions as a street car. But once we're able to go to the track, we're able to switch them out. So we're able to take it from a street to a race to a race to a street. That's pretty much the sum of what I'm doing. And eventually, this is going to be changed into the GT version of this car. So instead of this 4-cylinder inline engine, this is going to be switched into a V6 twin turbo. That is a lot of work, but believe it or not, it could fit it due to the fact that the GT version of this car actually it's the same body. So easy day, I guess. Of course, you still need to understand your limitations, like I said before. It's still your daily driver, so you don't want to blow it up and you have nothing to drive. That's why I recommend at least having a second car. And if you could afford the damage or have a way of picking yourself up and then going back home, then do that, I guess. But smart side, don't do too much. Only focus on the basics. And the basics are tires, wheels, brake pads, fluids. And if you want diffuser and a spoiler in the back, those are the basics. If you can cover the basics, you can do whatever you want later on. Of course, being in the military, I don't make a lot to do so much to this car, let alone run a team the way I do. That's why I take the checks at a time, budgeting myself, getting yourself in that one budget square and not leaving it. That's pretty much your goal as far as the financial side, and as well as turning your car into a daily. Start with the basics and stay in that budget square. Once I got my team all together, I noticed they also have their own vehicles that they contribute to the team, two of which being Hondas. One is a Jeep Cherokee, which we use for hauling, and as well as the Kia Stinger. And we even have our own go-kart that we even bought off Facebook Marketplace. You'll be surprised how I even got all this stuff within 2 years. I'm telling you, running a team under a budget is not impossible, but depending on what position you guys are, it's kind of difficult, but it's all about your dedication to the sport. Now, I might not be no pro driver, I might not have millions, but that doesn't stop me from being who I am now. And being a 22-year-old owning a team, I'd say that's actually quite the honor and the dedication that I had in order to even be in such a position. So that's pretty much sums up exactly how I got here and how this whole thing started. I hope you really enjoyed this. There's more episodes to be coming out, so you guys can stay tuned, and hopefully you get to see the vlogging, the car community that I'm a part of, and as well as meet some of the crew. There's going to be a lot to be shown. See you guys later, and welcome to Southern Boys Motorsports Becoming Legends. See you guys next time.